Hello, this is Andrew Perkins, and this is part 9 in creating a blog using the Cakephp framework. In this video, we'll learn how to create our own custom layout, apply our own style sheet, style some of the generated HTML that Cakephp creates for you, and give our pages their own titles. Here I am on our post's add action, and I submitted the form without a title and body so that we can see some of the Cakephp generated HTML. If we view our source code, we can see that Cakephp inserts a div tag to display our flash message, and it gives it an ID of flash message. Inside of our form, if we look at our input tag for our title, whenever a form field has an error, Cakephp inserts a class of form error onto that form field, and then right after it, Cake will generate another div tag to display the form field error message, and it gives it a class of error message. So we can use all of these classes and IDs to style the Cakephp generated HTML. I'm not going to cover all of the generated HTML that Cake does for you, but by seeing just these three here, you can take the same techniques and apply them in your own applications. So now I want to show you how to create your title. Currently it uses the Cakephp title. In our text editor, under app, controllers, open up post_controller.php, and for each one of our actions, we can use the controller set method to set a new variable so that we can have a custom title for that action. Here I'm setting the title for layout variable. Title for layout is used inside of Cakephp's layouts to output your custom title. The second value that you send to the, or second parameter that you send inside of the set method is what you want your title to be. So we can set our title to say our blog title. Now we can copy this and paste it down here for the add action, and we'll give our add action a title as well, and we'll say add a post. If we save those, we can view the index action, and we can see it's using our blog title at the top, but it's still displaying the Cakephp title, and that's because we're using Cakephp's layout, so we need to use our own layout to get rid of that. I'll go back to our text editor. Under app, under views, you'll see a folder called layouts. Here's where you can store all of your layouts. I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to call it default.ctp. Cakephp layouts use the .ctp extension just like their view files. And for now I'm going to leave it blank, and I'll come back to it in a moment. Inside of our post controller, I'm going to show you how to link up your layouts to your controllers and actions. If we wanted our entire post controller and all of its actions to use our default layout, we can set a new attribute here called layout and give it a value of default. Default is the name of our layout. So now this entire post controller and all of its actions will use the default layout. If, for instance, we want a single action to use a layout, inside of the action, we can set that layout at the layout attribute equal to the layout that we want the action to use. So now only our index action will use the default layout. I followed a naming convention here though. By naming our layout default, all of our controllers and actions that we create will use our default layout by default. That'll happen automatically, and we don't have to specify it anywhere in our controller. So now we can create our layout. I'm going to paste in some HTML here. There we go. This is some really simple HTML. At the top, I'm echoing out the HTML helper, and I'm using its doctype method to generate a doctype for us. You pass to the doctype method the type of doctype that you'd like to use. I'm saying create an XHTML transitional doctype. Afterwards, inside of our head tag and our title tag, I'm echoing out the title for layout variable. This is the variable that we set inside of our controller to create our custom title. So by echoing that out, it will output our title. Afterwards, I'm echoing out the HTML helper again, and I'm using its CSS method this time. The CSS method will create a link to a style sheet. What you pass to the CSS method is the name of the style sheet that you want to link to. Here I'm saying link to a styles.css style sheet. You do not have to use the extension. You can just pass in the name of the file, and then the CSS method will create all of the HTML and handle all of the pathing to your style sheet for you. Inside of the body tag, I've created two divs, one with an ID of header to display our blog h1 tag, and another with an ID of container. Inside our div, I'm echoing out the sessions flash method. The session flash method is what displays your flash messages to the browser. Whenever we create a new post and we hit the submit button and we get that flash message that says the post has been successfully added, this session flash method, by echoing it out, is what displays your flash message to the browser. And the last one is I'm echoing out the content for layout variable. The content for layout variable is what displays the code from your individual views. So if we take a look at one of our post's views, we'll look at the add view. When someone requests our post's add page, all of this content will be stored inside of our content for layout variable and output to the browser. That way all of our views can use this one single layout. So that's how you create a layout. The three important pieces are title for layout, the session flash method to output your flash messages, and the content for layout so that all of your views code will be displayed to the browser. We now need to create our styles style sheet. So inside of our app folder, under the webroot folder, we have a folder called CSS, and this is where we can store all of our CSS files. I'll create a new file here, and we'll call it styles.css, and I'm going to paste in some styles. Here we go. This is some really simple CSS. I'm not going to go over it all since it's not a design tutorial. I'm just going to go over the three that are relevant to the Cakephp generated HTML. The first one is an ID of flash message. This is the ID that Cake applies to the div tag when it generates your flash message to the browser. And here I'm styling it with some background color, its font color, giving it a border and some padding. The second one is a class of form error. Cakephp applies this class to your form fields whenever they have an error, and I'm just giving it a border. And the last one is a class of error message. The error message class is applied to the div tag that Cakephp creates to show your error message for that form field. And I'm giving the error message a background color, setting its font color, a border, a little margin on the bottom, and setting its width. So if we save this and we go to our browser, we can look at our new layout and our new title. And here's our layout. It's not very pretty, but it does work for demonstrating how to create layouts. You can see our title is displaying, and it no longer has the Cakephp title before it. Let's click our Add a Post link. And here's our form, and let's check out the flash messages and error messages. And there we go. You can see our flash message is using our styling, our title form field is using the border around it, and we have our styling for our error messages. So that's how you create your own layouts. In the next video, we'll learn how to use Cakephp's